Welcome. Today we want to look at quadratic equation and want to look at completing the square method and formula method of solving quadratic equation. It happens that it is not all quadratic equation that can be factorized, and hence we need other methods to solve them. And the other two methods are completing the square method and the formula method. So like we should know that quadratic equation usually come in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and it is always stated that the coefficient of x squared should never be what should never be 0. That is, a should never be what 0, because x squared is x here is the unknown that we have to find. X, A, B, and C are going to be given. They are constant. So if we are to solve questions by these kind of questions by completing the square method, how do you go about it? So there are steps. That you should follow, and one should be careful not to miss any of the steps. The first step is to try to make the coefficient of x squared to be unity. That is, make the coefficient of x squared to be 1. That is by dividing through by what? By the coefficient of x squared. That is, let us use this one as an example, then we will solve example that has to do with numbers. If this is the equation we are given, so the first step is what? Make the coefficient of x squared to be what? To be 1. That is by dividing through by what? By a. Right? So a cancels here. We have what? X squared plus bx plus bx over a plus what? C over a. Now equals 0. So the next step is that all the constants that we have in this very equation, let us move them to the right hand side. So move the constant to the right hand side. So the only constant here happens to be what? To be c over a, because it does not have any x attached to it. So we have what? X squared plus b over a x equals what? Minus c over a. And what is the next thing we should do? We are going to look at the coefficient of x. No, x squared is different from x. So the coefficient of x here is what? B over a. So we are going to add the square of half of the coefficient of x. Now, that you say what? Add the square of half, that is, let me write it in words, half the coefficient of x, and the coefficient of x here is what? Is b over a. So now what this step is telling us is what? Is that we should add half of b over a. What is half of b over a? That's what? B over a times what? 1 over 2. That's half of it. So that's going to be what? 1 over 2. B over what? 2a. Now we have to square this and do what? And add to both sides of this very equation. So we are going to have what? X squared plus b over a x plus what? B over 2a all squared equals what? Minus c over a plus what? This same thing on this side, b over 2a all squared. So now if you look at this, what do you notice? If you look at this, you notice that the if we try to factorize this, what we are going to get, since this is the coefficient of a and we are adding the square of it up, we can make this or this side to become what? A perfect square. By doing what? By eliminating this. Just simply eliminate this and then put this and x together and square everything. It becomes a perfect square. So this is the way you go about it. Say x plus what? B over 2a all squared. So you have made this part the perfect square. What about the right hand side? We are just to simplify. Let us simplify this. This is going to be what? Now, this is minus c over a. Let's open this bracket plus what? B squared over what? 2a. Oh, it's going to be what? 4a squared. Right? So now let us try to do this one and see how it's going to be. Going to rub off these parts of the board. So now we have x plus b over 2a all squared equals what now? Now let us find the LCM. The LCM here is going to be what? 4a squared, right? Now 4a squared. If we try to make this very fraction equivalent to this new LCM, what do? We have to divide 4a squared by what? By a. And what is going to remain is what? Is 4a. Now 4a multiplied with what? Minus c. You have what? Minus 4ac. Now, what about this? To make this very denominator is equivalent to this denominator. So if we divide 4a squared divided by 4a squared will give us 1 times b squared, we still give us what? Plus b squared. Right? Now we have simplified it, but we can still make it look better. Let us rearrange this. So this is going to be what? X plus b over 2a all squared equals what? B squared minus 4ac over what? 4a squared. It happens that we have not altered anything. We just took the one that is negative, brought it to this side, and then the one that is positive just place it here. So we have not altered anything here. So now what are we to do? We simply take the square root of both sides. Take the square root of this side, right? So this is going to be what? So this square root cancels the square, right? So we have what? X plus b over 2a equals what? Square root of, now this is going to be what? B squared minus 4ac over, now this square root affects both the numerator and denominator. So if we take, let's just take the square root of the denominator. We have 4a squared. Root of 4a squared. Root of 4 is what? 2. Root of a squared is what? A. So we have what? 2a. So now the next thing is what? Is for us to make x subject of the formula. That is by taking the constant, because now we have a constant here. Move it to this other part. Now, but because quadratic equation must always have two answers, right? What you have to do now is what? When we take the square root of both sides, on this part we are going to bring in a sign plus or minus. So let's just solve. So we bring in, so we are now have what? Plus or minus this. So now what do we do? Say what? X equals what? We are bringing b over 2a to this other part. It's going to be what? Minus b over 2a plus or minus what? Root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, right? So now, what do we have? You see that this fraction and this fraction, they have what? The same denominator. So they have this LCM what? 2a. So x should be equal to what? Minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac. So this is the quadratic formula 2a. This is the quadratic formula for solving quadratic equation, but we got it from where? From completing the square method. So we are going to be looking at this formula. We will still apply them. It's just for you to be able to use this very formula. It's just for you to compare coefficients, and then it's very, very simple to use. And what we have in this bracket, I mean in this very square, is what we call the determinant. We call it determinant because it determines the nature of the equation. If we are going to we will take another video where we will have to talk about that. I mean this discriminant, call it discriminant. So let's take examples on completing the square method of solving quadratic equation. So those are the steps you should take. All right, these are the examples we want to consider. Let's take number one. So number one says 2x squared minus 11x plus 12 equals 0. Remember the rule. The rule says, I mean the steps. The steps they should be followed. Now the first step is what? Divide through by the coefficient of x squared, so that you can make the coefficient of x squared to be what? 1. So if you divide through by 2, which is the coefficient of x squared, by 2, by 2, and by 2. So when we divide, this cancels this. We have x squared minus 11 over 2x plus what? 6 equals 0. Now let's move the constant to the right hand side of the equation. So we have what? X squared minus 11 over what? 2x plus now this 6 is crossing over, it becomes what? Negative 6, right? Now what's the next thing we do? We have to add the square of half the coefficient of what? Of x. Now the coefficient of x is what? Is minus 11 over 2. So half of this is going to, it means what? Multiplying it by what? 1 over 2, which is what? 11 over what? 4. So we have to minus 11 over 4. We have to add half the square of what? Half the coefficient of what? X. At least we have to square this and add to both sides. So if we square this and add to both sides, it means that we have not altered anything. We are just manipulating our way to get our answer using completing the square method. So x squared minus 11 over 2x plus, now you have to keep the sign there. The sign that the coefficient bs, you have to leave it there. So that's going to be what? Minus 11 over 4 all squared equals what? Minus 6 plus what? Minus 11 over 4 squared. So now, what do? You can make this left hand side a perfect square. How do we do that? We simply eliminate this, then we bring this and group it with what? With x, and we're able to get what? A perfect square. So let's just do it. X minus, now we are not going to write plus. It is the sign that the coefficient bs, that's what we are going to leave. X minus what? 11 over 4 all squared equals what? Minus 6. Now if you look at this left hand side, it happens that if we open this bracket, we are going to go back to this very thing we have here. This is what we are going to get. So this is the perfect square for this. So now let us try to simplify this part. First of all, let's open the bracket. This is going to be what? 1, 2, 1. Because when negative, anytime a negative number is raised to an even power, the sign of the answer is going to be what? Positive over what? Over 16. So let's just, now our work now is to do what? Is to simplify this right hand side. So let's just do that. We need a calculator here. So now this is going to be what? X minus 11 over 4 all squared equals what? Now if we try to look for the LCM, this one is over 1. Now the LCM is going to be what? 16, right? So 16, that's going to be what? Make this 6, this 6 over 1 equivalent to this. 6 divided by 1 is what? Is 16. 16 times minus 6 is what? Minus, as 6 times what? 16. That's going to be minus 96 plus what? Now this is equivalent, just put it down there, 1 to 1. This is going to be what? If we add this, that's minus 1 plus 1 to 1 gives us 25. So we have what? X minus 11 over 4 all squared equals what? 25 over 16. Now we got 25 when we add minus 96 plus what? 1 to 1. That's where we got 25. And then what's the next thing we have to do? In order to, because we are looking for x, we have to take the square root of both sides. And now when we take the square root of both sides, we introduce a plus or minus sign here, because our x is supposed to have two answers. Now on the left hand side, the square here cancels the square root. So we have what? X minus 11 over 4 equals what? But what is the square root of 25 over 16? That's what? 5 over 4. So this is what? Plus or minus. Now we are not looking for x minus 11 over 4. Rather, we are looking for x. So let us make x subject of the formula. We make x subject of the formula. So this is going to be what? X should be equal to what? If you negative 11 over 4, it crosses, it becomes what? Positive. That's going to be what? Exactly 11 over 4 plus or minus what? 5 over 4. Right? So let's solve this now. So it is x is either equal to what? 11 over 4 plus 5 over 4 or what? 11 over 4 minus 5 over 4. And so since they have the same LCM, we can just go ahead and subtract this, right? So 11 minus 5 plus 5 is going to be what? 16 over 4. That means x should be equal to 16 over 4, or what? Now 11 minus 5 is going to be what? Is going to be 8, right? So that's going to be what? 8 over 4. So what's our answer now? The answer turns out to be 6 rather. So now the answer is going to be this. When we divide 16 divided by 4 is going to give us what? 4. Or 6 divided by 4, 2 divides 3 is going to be what? 6 is going to be what? 3. 2 divides 4 is what? 2. So we have what? 3 over 2. So this is the solution to this equation using completing the square method. So let's try our answer number 2. Number 2 is going to be 3x squared minus 16x plus 2 equals 0. So now the first step is what? Divide through by the coefficient of x squared, which is what? 3, 3, and 3. So when we divide, we have what? X squared minus 16 over 3x plus 2 over 3. The next step is what? Move the constant, which is what? 2 over 3. So we have x squared minus 16 over 3x equals what? Minus 3 over 2. So what's the next step? The next step is that we should add the square of half the coefficient of x. Now the coefficient of x here is what? 16 over 3. What's half of this? That's what? Times 1 over 2. So if you multiply this, 2 here cancels 16, and what do we have? We have 8. So half of 16, or half of the coefficient of x squared is what? 8 over 3. Now square this. It's not just 8 over 3, it's what? Minus 8 over 3. Let us not neglect the sign. So we are going to add it to both sides. So this is x squared minus 16 over 3x plus minus 8 over 3 squared equals what? Minus 3 over 2 minus 3 over, is it 3 over 2 or 2 over 3? Sorry, 2 over 3, 2 over 3 plus minus 8 over 3 all squared. Now what are we to do? We can bring this together, eliminating this. So x minus what? 8 over 3 all squared equals what? Minus 2 over 3 plus what? Now what is the square of this? Is going to be what? 64 over what? 9. So let's add this together. So x minus 8 over 3 all squared equals what? Now the LCM is going to be what? 9. Then 9 divides 3 is 3 times minus 2, that's minus 6 plus what? 64. So what do we have now? So x minus 8 over 3 all squared equals what? Now minus 6 plus 64, that's 64 minus 6 is what? Is going to be 8, that's 58. 58 over 9. Now let's take the square root of both sides to eliminate this square. Take the square root of this, take the square root of this. So square cancels square root. So we have what? X minus 8 over 3 equals what? What's the root of 58? Can leave it that way, but we introduce plus or minus. Root 58 over root of 9 is what? 3. So we have what? Our answer is going to be what? This is plus or minus. So x should be equal to what? Move minus 8 over 3. So that's going to be what? 8 over 3 plus or minus what? 58. Right? So let's finish that on this place, this part of the board. So now, what will be x? So x is either equals to what? 8 plus 58, that's root 58 over 3, or 8 minus root 58 over 3. So these are the two answers. If you are asked to leave your answers in decimal form, you can go ahead and punch it with your calculator. So that's it. What about this last one? Now, for this last one, it's the same method we are going to use. You divide through by the coefficient of x. But what if the coefficient of x is 1, what do we do? What you do is you just go ahead and you go to the next step. So because that very first step is just to make the coefficient of x unity, that is to make the coefficient of x 1, so I mean of x squared 1. So if you are able to, if the question you are given, the coefficient of x is already 1, you do not need to do what, to go through all those process. So but let's try this last one, and I believe we should be able to get it with this. So this is going to be what, 4x squared minus 6x plus 5 equals 0. So dividing through by what, by 4, by 4, by 4, by 4, we have what, x squared minus, now this is going to be what, 3 over 2, 3 over 2 x plus what, 5 over 4 equals 0, right? So what do we do to this? We are to move the constant to the right hand side. That's going to be what, x squared minus 3 over 2 x equals what, equals minus 5 over 4, right? So what's the next thing we are to consider? We add the square of half the coefficient of x. Now the coefficient of x here is what, minus 3 over 2. Half of it is what, the coefficient of x times what, 1 over 2, which gives us what, minus 3 over 4, right? So we have what, we are going to add the square of this to both sides. So that's going to be what, x minus 3 over 2 x plus minus 3 over 4 squared equals what, minus 5 over 4 plus what, 3 over minus 3 over 4 all squared. So we can make this this other side perfect square by doing what, by eliminating this, and then put this x squared, x minus 3 over 4 all squared equals what. Now let us simplify this part. So this is what, minus 5 over 4 plus 9 over 16. So what do we have now? We have x minus 3 over 4 squared equals what, minus, now if we try to simplify this, what are we going to have? What's the LCM? The LCM here is going to be 16, right? Let me write it well. 16. Now 16 divided by 4 is 4, times minus 5 is what, minus 20, now plus 9, because this is already equivalent to the fraction. So we can solve for x now using this next method. Okay, so we have what, x minus 3 over 4 all squared equals what, now minus 20 plus 9 is going to be what, minus 11 over 16. Now if you take the square root of both sides, so we have that what, x minus 3 over 4 equals what, plus or minus 11 minus 11 over what, 16. Now when we have a negative sign in a square root, it turns out that number becomes what, a complex number. This is one of the things I said, that the discriminant determines the nature of the equation. So it turns out that this very equation is having complex roots. So if we are to do this, say that what x should be equal to what 3/4 plus or minus root of minus 11 over what 4. So if you are given this in your exam, you can leave your final answer as this. You have not done wrong. So I believe you have learned a lot from the video. In the next video, we are going to talk about the formula method of solving quadratic equation, which is very simple, and it is applicable and very fast for any kind of quadratic equation which cannot be solved using factorization method. So do like the video and subscribe for more.